3 years ago when I started on YouTube, the reason I started was because I had just witnessed, and it's going to sound crazy, but bear with me. I just witnessed a psychic that, I never believed in psychics at all, but I had witnessed a psychic solve an entire case that had been, a headline, high profile murder case. Many people were interested in it. Lots of people were tuning in to find out, details and stuff. And these two missing kids whose mom basically carried out their murder along with their uncle and new stepdad. Shortly before these kids were found dead in the yard, I had happened to click on this crazy, it was a reading, a psychic reading. I thought, oh, this stuff is so hokey. This stuff is so stupid. Click on it. I am listening and I'm going, okay, not only is this hokey, but this is also gruesome and graphic. And so I clicked out of it. Then the children were found in the yard of their new stepdad's house. And I remember watching on the TV, seeing little bits that it sounded like the method in which they were killed was very egregious. So throughout that day or the following day, we found out more updates. And as I continued to listen to these updates, I thought, man, that sounds so familiar, but I don't know why it sounds so familiar. And then I remembered, oh, crazy. I remember that lady's reading I clicked on, and she talked about this and she talked about that. Oh my gosh, I got to go back to that. So I go back to the reading and it picks up to where at the exact point that I clicked out of it. So pick back up and my jaw is just on the floor. I couldn't believe it. How could this person, this lady, this psychic lady, get all these details right? Right? I mean, it just seemed crazy. So I made my first video about that. And that was in June, the end of June of 2020. So in the time span I've been on YouTube, which is now 3 years or nearly 3 years, we had been waiting for this trial, this case of Lori Vallow, the one who participated in the murders of her children. We've been waiting for that to go to trial for so long, and finally it happened. And what's come out is even more shocking and more glaringly obvious that this psychic, who I at first wanted to naysay, she was even more right than I ever even thought. Pretty much for the last week or 2 weeks, I've just been poring over the details from this trial and finding the connections where I could, where it was obvious, where it was in my face. And I did this and I stitched all those together, all those clips, so that I could show you guys. Let's see, what else did she get right that I couldn't say was right before? When she did this reading, it was 5 months before the children were found by the FBI. And she was just receiving information about what happened to these kids. And she released it at a time when nobody would have believed her. And then this right here is me, June of 2020, like the end of June of 2020.
Okay, what I'm seeing is a man and a woman, and they're carrying one person. They're carrying one person.
Wrapped in a black, it's black plastic, and it has ropes tied, like there's rope tied around the neck, rope tied around the, where the arms would be. Like they tied a rope about every 1.5 feet, rope around the ankles, rope around. But they're tying it. Seems like they, I don't know, that's just their burial way, what they're doing. And so, and then it feels like the man is digging pretty hard there.
Let me stop real quick. So that is that's probably in the first 8 minutes of her first reading she did on this case, on the Lori Vallow case, when she was tapping in, where are JJ and Tylee? Like, what happened to them? Right there, she's explaining that she sees a boy wrapped in black plastic. She felt that it was his mom and a man who had done this, and that they were burying him at this point. That was January 31st, 2020. The children were not found until June 9th of 2020, so about 5 months later.
And then covering that, it feels like it's the boy that was buried there. You'll find a body there. I'm seeing a boulder right around there, and then if you went just past the boulder, and then you go in, and I feel like there's woods there that are relatively close to the water.
What did you observe in photo?
Okay. What came out is JJ's grave area, what they turned into JJ's grave, was it had rocks. It had rocks and it had wood. And we'll get a little bit more into that here, but she noticed, or she took note right there, that there was a boulder. Boulders are rocks. And now you'll hear the court testimony.
181. So once the stones and rocks were removed from that last layer, this was the next layer. So underneath those stones, rock, there's 2 planks that were observed. And so that was a good point to stop, take more photos, and do some scans.
How to make the reason I say that is they did, once they put the dirt back over, they're putting these bushes back on there to regrow. So that it'll grow over, like it won't, no one will be able to tell anything was buried there. Chad shows me how to make the mound so that, because he knows how much will sink in. So he knows you put it up, in a mound, and then put it, and then within a, short amount of time, it'll be flat. And they flattened it. They once they put the bushes in, they flattened it. They actually did quite a bit of work to make it cover up.
Agent, from your experience, you talked about the deliberateness of those items placed there. Was there anything else significant or that stuck out to you about those items being placed there? So by placing these planks and rocks, a couple of things stuck out to me, and that would be, you would do that in order to prevent wildlife potentially from getting to your human remains. Also, I already described how this grave was found. There was a raised berm. When human remains decompose, that usually means that if it had been level, there would be a sinking of the soil once the human remains decompose. So somebody's put some thought into, if the human remains decompose and there is a sinking of that top layer, if there's a berm to it, then that will kind of level out over time.
To me, that was a huge detail. And I didn't realize that before. Like I said, so much of this has sort of reemerged as important just from going through the trial itself. This was shocking. Wait till you hear the rest.
I've seen him laying in the boot. That's why you can't assume that he wasn't wrapped in plastic. He may or may not have been, but right now I'm seeing JJ's face. I've seen him laying in this grave, and I'm seeing that it's no more. It might only be a foot deep. I got a little chills of a foot and a half. Yeah, 2 feet. Somewhere between 1 and 2 feet deep. It's not a 4 foot deep grave.
Finally, in layer E. So this is when that excavation was complete. We were ready to remove the remains, and then the lowest layer scan depth that picture was taken was just above 2 feet.
Lori is the person who did it. She put the bag over the head. She also feels like she did the duct tape. She's just not. She just goes full bore steam ahead. She's got cases she puts the duct tape. She puts that bag over his head, and she's twisting it around, trying to make sure he can't get air. And then some, I know some man is there, and I wonder if it's Chad. I'm not sure. No, I'm not getting any energy about that. Okay, so okay, I'll just get, because I know there's someone down there that comes and helps her, but right now I haven't seen that yet. Because what I'm getting, they want to show me that she was struggling because she was like holding this on his head, and he's trying to push her hands away. So he's trying to push her arm, he's trying to push her chest, but he's not strong enough. And she's holding it down, and she's trying to get this duct tape. She's trying to use her teeth to get duct tape with one hand while she's trying to hold his neck. She's trying to squish his neck, hold the bag on his neck, but he's trying to fight her. He's trying to you know, I don't know if he can really scratch, but he's trying to like get her away, push her away. He's struggling, so it's not being as easy as she wanted. That's when the guy, whoever's there, that's when the guy comes across, and he holds the face. Now he's got his whole hand over the face and his hand over the neck, while she's pulling out this duct tape now, and she's wrapping duct tape around where his neck is. And he's like, you know, shaking his body and urinates on himself. And he's wearing pajamas when all this happened.
Literally over 3 years before it comes out in court testimony, Donna is saying, and this particular clip was taken from her cop questions video, which was April 24th of 2020. So it was about 1.5, 2 months before the kids were found. She says, oh, and she even saw this in her first video back in January, but she says that Lori comes up behind JJ, puts a white bag over his head, and begins basically rapping. She's trying to rap, but he's fighting against her. He's pushing against her. And that's when she's just, you know, pushing her fingers and stuff into his neck to grip him, to try to hold this and secure this in place. And then that's when a guy comes from across the room to serve as like reinforcement or backup. At that point in the reading, she wasn't sure, was this Chad? Was this Alex? There's been times where she said she felt like Chad was there. And so anyway, this person helps her. And then she proceeds to wrap this duct tape from the neck up. And that's the clip that I just played. Now I want you to hear what the expert said.
Formed an expert opinion concerning the cause of death of J.J. Vallow.
I have.
What was that?
I determined the cause of death to be asphyxia by a plastic bag over the head and duct tape covering the mouth. And then there's another segment that's other significant conditions. I put bound with duct tape, bruising of the arms, and abrasions of the neck. But ultimately, the cause of death was asphyxia by plastic bag over the head and duct tape over the mouth preservation. So we broke the seal on the bag and opened that bag up, and then the body was further enclosed within a black plastic tarp that was held together with multiple strips of duct tape. And then we opened that up, and that was the first time that you could actually see the body. Right from the beginning, there were some things that obviously jumped out. One, there was a white plastic bag over JJ's head, and it was wrapped around the face multiple times with duct tape all the way down to the neck. In addition, the forearms and the hands were bound with duct tape, and the ankles were bound with duct tape. JJ was wearing red pajama tops, red pajama bottoms, and black socks.
That detail. If you have to rewind this just a hair, go back to the last clip of Donna. She said he was in his pajamas. Very first reading she did, she said that he was supposed to be in bed, that he was playing by his toy box, and that's when Lori, basically she just decided out of nowhere to end his life. And remember, in this clip you just heard of the expert, he talked about JJ being in his diaper, his night diaper. Well, Donna, that was what she picked up on too, because he was supposed to be in bed. So, but here we go. Here's the expert again.
I'm seeing a leg.
Or sorry, Donna again. A human leg.
What I'm seeing is so gross I don't necessarily want to say it because it just cannot be true. and I'm going to delete this from whatever. If I put something up, I'm going to delete this. But it's just sickening. I see them starting a fire and roasting. It's like at this little summer home thing, and there's where you could conceivably like roast a pig there. It feels like they're roasting a leg, like the leg of the girl. I swear to God. I can't. It's hard for me to believe how this could be happening in my mind. I feel like he chopped her leg off. I feel like with the girl, he's chopping her body up like a butcher would. Jeez, like with a meat cleaver. First, he was using something else for whatever I was talking about a minute ago. I saw a different kind of. I don't know what he was taking her thigh off with, but it was bigger than the meat cleaver. But then on her knee bone, he was using a meat cleaver.
On that crime scene, the fire pit. This is how it was found by law enforcement that day. In her testimony, how they removed the debris. They raked it. They sifted that ground, and they found pieces of Tylee Ryan in that fire pit.
You know, garage building. The inside, it's not really meant to park cars, at least the way it's set up, because it has a workbench around 3 sides of it. And it feels like he had the daughter's body on that workbench, and he's literally chopping it up. He's got plastic everywhere, but it seems to me there would be like so much blood evidence there. You know, like all over the floor or in the cracks at the end. Because he didn't do that great of a job of putting up all the plastic. The plastic I'm seeing now with her is clear plastic. Why would he have 2 different plastics? Do the heck up?
Just so you're tracking, because I know that, you know, the way I stitch these clips together, it's Donna, and then whether it's an expert or the DA or something like that, it goes back and forth. So I want to make sure you're tracking this. So she talked about seeing Tylee's. She called her the girl, which is Tylee. She saw Tylee's leg. Wrote that the people were roasting her leg in, it seemed like a fire pit, like a spit, where you would conceivably roast a pig. Instead, they were roasting the leg of the girl. Then what you heard was Rob Wood talk about how Tylee's pieces of her body were found still in that fire pit. And that was almost 9 months later, I think. Then we get into the outbuilding or garage. The garage is where Donna initially sees that this is where everything happened. This is where he dismembered Tylee. This is where he literally, I'm sorry to be so graphic, where he took apart every part of her and then got that ready for the fire pit. So listen to these key details. They are very important.
That's not the only place they found Tylee Ryan that day, though. They also found pieces of her here in the shed. You heard how law enforcement searched the shed for tools that could be used in the commission of these crimes. These shovels, this pickaxe, were of particular interest to them. You heard testimony of this pickaxe, how it was taken to the Idaho State Lab. How in the eye of that pickaxe, there was material that looked different than the dirt, so it was separated out. It was tested for DNA. It was tested against the profile of Tylee. And it was Tylee in the eye of the pickaxe.
Body parts of the little girl, and I don't know if they brought all the body parts or if they're going to put them other places. So I've only seen the one package that had like her 2 arms, which were each cut, the elbow and the shoulder. And then the 2 pieces of one leg. They're literally showing me of them putting this leg on this thing, like a rotisserie type thing, an outdoor thing that you would cook over an open fire like you might roast a pig on, I swear to God. And eating it.
And
And they don't even care. It's like they're insane or something.
Yeah.
Like, you mentioned some thermal evidence of thermal.
Now listen to this. This is Angie Christensen. and she talks about carnivore activity on these bones. Now, I want you to keep in mind, these are among the bones that were buried. They were actually buried beneath the dirt in the pet cemetery. There was a quick forming cement that was applied to this group of bones, it's believed. So it couldn't necessarily have been carnivore activity from an animal. It had to have been before cement was applied. More than likely, that carnivore activity was Chad, Alex, Lori, one of them, all of them. She saw that it was, I believe, all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. Here's Angie Christensen. Important.
Damage. Did you see any evidence in any of the bones that you had of carnivore activity?
Yes, there was one bone that had marks on it that are consistent with what you see when carnivores scavenge or chew on bones.
And when you say carnivores, we're talking a dog, a cat,
A meat-eating animal, yes.
Which includes humans.
Let me show you what has been marked as 181A.
That is a photograph depicting portions of the left and right femur or thigh bones.
Remember, she said a leg? They were roasting a human leg? Yeah, crazy.
And when you say the left and right femur, why did you take these particular pictures?
I take pictures to document everything in my examination.
And you earlier referenced that you'd seen some activity of carnivore activity?
Yes.
It's like he went right in the middle there and buried the one leg and if you find one leg and two arms, I'm telling you right now, they did eat that other leg. I'm not kidding.
Very clear.
What we're seeing in photograph 79, this is the garage door opening or shed barn opening, and it's located right here on this.
Okay. Now, I think this is Steve Daniels. He starts talking about the tools that are on the wall in Chad Daybell's garage or outbuilding or shed. You'll hear it called several different names. Donna refers to it as an outbuilding or a garage. But you're going to see the correlation here in just a minute, that this tool Donna saw Chad held on to is the one, I think, that tested positive for DNA of Tylee's and tissue of hers.
Side. So if you're walking from the residence over here, this is the first entryway you could go into to get into this area. Okay. And so here's the entryway. And as you walked in, what did you see? So one of the things, knowing that we're dealing with a burial, two burials, one of the things we're interested in is any tools. So if I was burying somebody, what tools would I need to do this? Or in the case of Tylee, if I burn Tylee, if I dismember Tylee, what would I need to do that? So as I'm doing a survey of this garage, those are the tools that I'm looking for. So one of the things as we walked into this garage, from that open garage you saw in the first photo, there's a bunch of tools up against the wall right here. And this is kind of an as-is photograph. So right now you're seeing the tools as they were on June 9th. And what's significant about this photograph? So this becomes more important. These are the tools that we chose to take as evidence. And obviously, because they could be the tools that I would use to bury somebody or do something harmful to somebody for this given scene. So we've got the pick, we've got shovels. And again, a lot of times I just base this on my experience. And unfortunately, these are the things that I train in. And this is just a close-up picture of the pickaxe. And this was one of the items you seized. Correct. And then you can see just some of the why we might have collected it. It's showing some of the stuff, material that could be on the pickaxe.
He dropped in the middle of the lake. Maybe some of the instruments he used to do some of this damage throughout this whole crime spree. This whole little scene.
Let's talk about the dismemberment.
Yeah, so it feels like he's like out on that middle of the lake on that little aluminum boat. And then he's like, has all these tools or something wrapped in a blue tarp. And by tools, I mean the axe, all the hatchet, all that crap. Dumps over there. He may have kept his axe. Like he might have had an attachment to one of these tools, so he didn't want to dump it.
Exact.
So there might be something up on the wall in the hobby shed.
Exact. That right there was an exact detail. If you need to rewind back to Steve Daniels talking about the garage, he talked about a tool that was on the wall still. It had DNA that was left behind of Tylee.
On that crime scene, the fire pit. This is how it was found by law enforcement that day. In her testimony, how they removed the debris, they raked it, they sifted that ground, and they found pieces of Tylee Ryan in that fire pit. They found this chain in that fire pit. They found this charm.
Jewelry.
It's also located on State's Exhibit 6, being worn by Tylee Ryan.
Tried an axe. Like, it sounds like he was trying a few things. I mean, he used a few different things in chopping this body up. Okay, so now they're showing me. Okay, so they showed where they put those parts. Now they're showing me the abdominal part of a body with all the organs coming out. Looks like there's a drain on the floor. That's something important. If you see, obviously you would, if you saw a drain on the floor, would look in the drain. Some little piece of jewelry she was wearing may have, or a little sweater pin, or some little piece of something. It looks gold to me. A little angel
Her
thing.
Necklace. It was Tylee's
may have
necklace.
went in the drain.
It's crazy.
With some blood too.
I want to tell you a personal story. The day that testimony came out, the audio would come out in the evening. So I do my best to listen to it. A lot of times I fall asleep. So that's what I've kind of been doing lately, is just catching up on the trial. But I remember one time in particular, I was listening to Nate Eaton from East Idaho News. And it was from the day where it came out in court testimony that a necklace was found. I was not even kidding. I was shell-shocked for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, just sitting, staring at the wall, going, I mean, I already knew her ability was real, okay? But that was so unbelievable to me that even down to the necklace, she got that detail right. The jewelry, she said, I don't know if this was a sweater pin, as it looked like a piece of jewelry. And then to find out that they found a necklace, that was stunning to me. It was crazy. Unbelievable. And there are some details, like that detail, for example, she said it may have fallen off into the drain. It sounds like where it was found was around the fire pit in some area. I believe what they had done, the ERT team had raked a certain area, and then they would sift it. And what presented itself in one of the siftings was, I believe, this piece of jewelry, and it was an actual necklace.
I don't know if it's anxiety or
Another detail.
What if the anxiety is about family stuff or social stuff, or other kids tease her about being a little heavy. Like, I'm not sure. I don't know. I just feel like she's biting her nails.
Doctor, did you review Tylee Ryan's medical records?
I did.
And in reviewing, what did you find in her medical records in terms of prior illnesses or sicknesses?
So based on the medical records that are available to me, Tylee was documented to have anxiety with panic attacks.
Okay. I've wondered many, many times, how did they do this to Tylee? We already know how it happened to JJ, and I know it's a morbid thing to wonder. But coming from the person who clearly saw their murders, I know you probably wonder too, how did they kill Tylee? Well, I'm going to play for you the best clip I could find where she describes it. It's a disturbing clip, but I think it matters because the experts in the trial were never able to say, how did Tylee die? Why did she die? Who did it? But I feel that this clip clearly explains how it was done and who did it.
Tylee, like, oh, come here. We want you to see the, see this or whatever. And at the exact same time, Lori starts smashing her in the head, and Alex strangles her with a rope, and they are literally doing it at the same time. They push Tylee face. Alex pushes her face down. He's got his knee in her back, and he's just pulling the rope as tight as he can. And Lori is just continuously, literally bashing her head in. And the horribleness of this, even though it's so graphic and gross, is one thing people really need to know. This lady is so dangerous, it's not even funny. And Lori is Lori is the driving force, and I think that's been implied, but Lori is the driving force. So as this whole thing is going on, there's a point where Tylee suffered immensely. And she did suffer. And why I'm telling you and telling everybody is because when Lori is sentenced, she needs to have the kind of sentence for people who made somebody suffer severely when they died. And it's more than that. It's if you kill somebody where their death it was very took a long time and was if you were going to kill, if she was going to kill her, why didn't she just poison her like sleeping pills? Like, really? Okay. But what they did took several minutes. It wasn't fast. These people, Tylee suffered immensely. So, and I'm saying that so that people understand the gravity and the levity of what they did to Tylee is deserving of life without parole. Tylee got murdered, and I need to see who exactly and what they exactly did. He tried to use a hacksaw. Cut her off at the knees. So gross. He used the little axe things for that. So there's even something that almost looks like a medieval chopper. Not that big, but more the size of a hand axe.
And again, this clip right here that you're listening to is from about a month and a half, 2 months before the kids were found by the FBI.
Say if it was like maybe 6 inches a blade around, but it would be like the shape of these things from the medieval times where you chop stuff. Even something like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. It seems like really weird, but this seems to be upsetting Alex at the moment a little worse than Lori. This part about the dismembering. He's doing it, but he feels a little queasy, and she's like harping for him to get quicker. Like, I don't know if she's the one who did the axe on the knees. Like, get with it. Like, it means nothing to her. And it's not that it means anything to Alex either, the death, but he's grossed out. I don't know if she wants him to disembowel Tylee.
So there's a few things that she said that never were confirmed from the trial. One of those being that the parts of Tylee's body were actually stored in the deep freezer. That was never confirmed. As a matter of fact, this morning, I sent an email to Ronnie Ball, and I said, hey, from 3 years ago, because I had communicated with him about her ability. And I was actually the one, I said, go back into that garage because there's some tools that have Tylee's DNA in there. Anyway, I had sent him an email today, and I told him, I mean, this lady got all these points correct, all these intricate details of this case correct. And one of the things she said was that there was parts of Tylee in that deep freezer, but there was never any mention that you guys found any. But also, the whole body was not found of Tylee because they broke it up into such fragmented pieces that I don't believe all of it was ever found. And Donna explains, and there's a lot of things that I kept out of this because there's literally so much detail. She even describes the home. She describes when the home was built. She talks about the raised porch area in front of the house. I'm talking about detail upon detail upon detail, but I know that the attention span is hard to stay focused, especially on such graphic content. So I wanted to reduce it to just the parts that I knew people wanted to know. We wanted to know, how did this happen to Tylee? But anyway, so there are some details that still have never been confirmed, never been made public. And maybe one day we'll know. But that is among the details. Also, you know, where's the rest of the tools that they used on Tylee? They had to have used a hacksaw. They talked about the hacksaw in the trial, but there was no hacksaw in his garage. And in that clip I played, Donna talks about, it seems like Alex dropped these tools in the middle of some body of water inside of a blue tarp. I would not be surprised if that's what happened. Anyway, I'm going to conclude for now. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. The reason I wanted to present this for you today is because every voice that has impact in this trial, or in this case, this Lori Vallow case, refuses to ever talk on such a taboo subject as what I am today. And I felt it's necessary to acknowledge this, that this ability does exist. If it could be used for good in this world, maybe they could find the missing more often, or at least find clues. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Please subscribe if you haven't. Take care, everybody. And I hope you're doing well. Bye.